The Mahabharata of Krsna Dvaipayana Vyasa, Adi Parva, Part 2. Born from a fish, the adopted daughter of a fisherman, Satyavati had been cursed to emit a strong fishy odor from her body. Under her father's order, Satyavati used to ply a ferry across the river. One day, the great sage, Parashara, happened to come to the shore of the Yamuna River. When he saw Satyavati with her wonderful beauty and enchanting sweet smiles, the rishi became overjoyed by a strong desire to enjoy union with her. Parashara engaged Satyavati to take him across the river. Then, when they were midstream, he said, "My dear lovely girl, I have been captivated by you, and so please accept my loving embraces." Greatly embarrassed, Satyavati replied, "Foremost of rishis, there are many great sages residing by the side of the river. How can I dare to gratify your desire within everyone's view?" Upon hearing this, Parashara immediately created a dense fog so that the whole area became shrouded in darkness. When he once again petitioned Satyavati, she replied, "I am an unmarried girl who is living under the protection of my father. If you spoil my virginity, how can I dare return home?" Parashara then said, "O beautiful one, even after contact with me, you shall remain a virgin. I promise you this, and if you accept me, you can ask for another benediction as well." Being pleased, Satyavati requested, "From this time on, let my body emit an enchantingly sweet smell instead of its present fishy odor." Parashara gladly granted this boon, and at the very moment he went to embrace Satyavati, her time for conception arrived. Thereafter, when his desire was satisfied, Parashara departed, and on that very day, on an island in the middle of the Yamuna, Satyavati gave birth to a glorious son. That same day, the child grew up, and since his mind was already fixed on living a life of austerity, he told Satyavati, "My dear mother, please grant me permission to depart for the forest. Rest assured that I will return whenever you need me." Because the son of Parashara was born on an island, he was given the name Dvaipayana, and because he later on became the compiler of the Vedas, he also received the name Vyasa. After her contact with Parashara, Satyavati began to emit a sweet scent, and thus she became known as Gandhavati. Because that scent could be perceived from a distance of 1 yojana, she also became known as Yojana Gandha. After Lord Parashuram had practically rid the earth of all Kshatriyas by killing them 21 times, he retired to Mount Mahendra to perform severe austerities. The Kshatriya ladies then came out of hiding and approached the Brahmanas for the purpose of continuing their race. These virtuous ladies had sexual union with the Brahmanas, but only at the time of conception and never out of lust. Thus, a new generation of Kshatriyas came into being, and because the kings were righteous, the Varnashram system became properly re-established. Being pleased, the Lord of Heaven, Indra, supplied rain at regular intervals, and all auspicious conditions prevailed upon the earth. Later on, when the Daityas, the race of demons, were repeatedly defeated by the demigods, they became deprived of their residence in heaven, and so began to take birth within this world. Many of the Daityas were born as the sons of great Kshatriyas, and because of their superior prowess, they became very proud and arrogant. In fact, these demonic rulers not only oppressed their citizens, but also, due to being intoxicated with false pride, they did not hesitate to offend even the greatest of the sages. Finally, the presiding deity of the earth, Mother Bhumi, in the form of a cow, went to Lord Brahma, and with tears in her eyes, she described her pitiable condition. Lord Brahma then took all the demigods and went to the shore of the milk ocean, wherein Lord Narayana resides upon the island Svetadvip. In answer to the demigods' prayers, Lord Vishnu transmitted a message to the heart of Brahma, assuring Brahma that he would soon incarnate upon the earth to relieve her of her burden. The Supreme Lord Vishnu further ordered his servants, the demigods, to also appear on the earth to assist him in his mission. Thus, in order to counter the many demonic Daityas who had taken birth as Kshatriyas, or warrior kings, the demigods began to assume human forms. Some of these incarnations are listed here. The Danava Viprichati was born as Jarasandha. Hiranyakashipu appeared as Shishupal. Prahlad's younger brother, Samlada, became Shalya. Anulada became Drishtaketu. The Ashura, Vashkala, appeared as Bhagadatta. The Danava, Kalanemi, became Kamsa. A portion of Brihaspati took birth as Dronacharya. United portions of Lord Shiva, Lord Yama, Lord Kama, and Lord Krodha appeared as Ashvatthama. Dwapara Yuga appeared as Shakuni. Satyaki, Drupad, and Kritavarman were portions of the Maruts. Yamaraj appeared as Vidura. Purity personified became King Pandu. A portion of Kali appeared as Duryodhana. All of Duryodhana's brothers, headed by Dushasana, were the Rakshasa sons of Pulastya. The Pandavas were portions of Dharma, Vayu, Indra, and the twin Ashvinis. A portion of Agni took birth as Drishtajumna. Sikandi was formerly a Rakshasa. The Vishvadevs took birth as the sons of Draupadi. Sanat Kumar appeared as Prajumna. 16,000 Apsaras became Lord Krishna's wives. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi herself, incarnated as Rukmini. A portion of Indra's wife, Sachi, appeared as Draupadi. Varchas, the son of Soma, took birth as Abhimanyu. When the demigods were discussing among themselves what parts they would play in serving the mission of Vishnu, Soma had pleaded, "I cannot bear to part with my son. He is dearer to me than life itself, and so I beg that he be exempted from incarnating on the earth." However, it was impressed upon Soma that there was no question of avoiding participation in Lord Vishnu's plan to annihilate the Asuras. Finally, the moon god said, "All right, I will allow you to take my son, but not for long. Let Varchas become the son of Arjuna, the incarnation of Nara, and let him become a great chariot warrior in his youth. Then, upon reaching the age of 16, he must return to me after performing a heroic feat that will earn him historical fame. During the great war that will relieve the earth of her burden, let Varchas annihilate 1/4 of the opposing army in just half a day before laying down his life upon the battlefield. In addition, let Varchas beget a heroic son that will continue the Bharata line when it becomes almost extinct. The demigods heartily approved of Soma's words and happily agreed to accept his proposals. Now there was a king named Mahabhisha in the line of Ikshvaku, who ascended to heaven after pleasing the demigods with his performances of 1,000 horse sacrifices. One day, the demigods and celestial rishis assembled to worship Lord Brahma, and at that time, Ganga Devi also came there to offer her respects. But as the river Ganges personified, Mother Ganga, entered the assembly, the wind happened to displace her fine white garment, so that her bodily features became clearly visible. While the demigods respectfully bowed their heads, King Mahabhisha rudely stared at Ganga Devi's exposed, exquisite body. Lord Brahma saw this, and so, with great displeasure, he caused both Mahabhisha and Ganga to take birth upon the earth as a curse. He then further informed Mahabhisha, "You may select your father according to your desire, and I will also provide the means for your release from this curse. At the time when your anger will be provoked by Ganga, you shall be reinstated in your original heavenly position." Mahabhisha carefully contemplated the kings presently living on the earth, and at last, after careful consideration, he decided to become the son of Maharaj Pratipa. As Ganga Devi left the assembly, she thought about Mahabhisha with great affection. Then, while returning home, she happened to meet the Vasus, who appeared to be in a very dejected mood. When Ganga Devi inquired about the cause of their moroseness, the Vasus replied, "We were cursed by the great Rishi Vashishta to be born on the earth. O Ganga Devi, personification of the great river, we are horrified at the thought of having to take birth from the womb of an ordinary human being. Please, be kind upon us, and assume the form of a human female, so that you can beget us as your children." Because she had already also been cursed to be born on the earth, Ganga Devi agreed, and then asked, "O Vasus, who would you like to be your father?" In reply, the Vasus selected the future son of Maharaj Pratipa, who would be named Shantanu, and was originally the king Mahabhisha. Ganga Devi confirmed that this was her choice as well, for she knew that Shantanu would be none other than Mahabhisha. The Vasus then requested, "Ganga Devi, as soon as we are delivered from your womb, please throw us into your water, so that we will not have to suffer on earth for very long." Ganga Devi replied, "Yes, I will drown 7 of you, since this is your desire. However, one of my sons must live a long life, so that the sexual union that I have with my husband, Shantanu, may not prove to be entirely futile." The Vasus then said, "Each of us will give 1/8 of our energies to produce this son that will live a full life. However, please grant our wish that he will not produce any children." Ganga agreed, and after all the arrangements had been finalized, she and the Vasus went their separate ways.